Hi, I'm Allison.
Hi, I'm Cara.
Welcome to our weekly podcast where we talk all things career, beauty, and lifestyle.
It's time for Beauty Break. Welcome back to Beauty Break. I'm Cara.
I'm Allison.
And this is our, maybe fifth episode?
Yeah.
Fourth or fifth?
Yeah, we're moving right along.
And at the beginning of each episode, we have a little chat.
Yeah, our little talk of what's been popping up during the week, what clients have brought to us, or even just things that have inspired us as well.
Like you were telling me earlier.
Yeah. So I wanted to just touch base on something that happened to me this week. I was scrolling the internet, as we all do, usually in the evening. And actually someone who I follow, a hairstylist, her name is Lourdes. She works at Cream Studios up in the Hudson Valley area. And she does this little cute, I don't even know what to call it, like a
drop-in.
Yeah, drop-in every Wednesday on her feed. And she calls it Wisdom Wednesdays.
Sweet.
I thought that was cute.
Yep.
But what she brought up was something that was really, I think, kind of like, yeah, that's definitely happening behind the chair for me, for sure. And she said every time she sits down in front of a mirror, she looks at herself and she's like, oh, this or oh, that, and starts pulling out, like, her thing was like her under eyes or something. She feels really passionate, being critical. Yeah, being really critical. And so I kind of was in my head and I was like, you know what? I feel like my clients do that too, as do I. I think it's just like really apparent when you're going in for a service, whether it's for skin, hair, color, whatever, you kind of sit in front of a mirror or you're talking to someone and you're just like, oh, this thing. I know for me, a lot of clients are like, oh, these grays, and they're so ugly or they're so pesky or they're so this. And I'm just like, whoa, let's hold on. Like,
Not to be so critical.
yeah, like change that tone, change that conversation. And then I kind of was thinking, like, how wild. It's such a common thing for us to accept, to hear other people's negativity towards themselves. And it's actually not really a common thing to hear people be positive about themselves.
Right. Because we're kind of taught to be modest, right?
Yeah.
Or, not a braggart. So
yeah, but I get that. But there is a point to where it's like, how come we can accept people being negative, but we can't just openly accept people being so like kind and loving like that? I guess kind of
to themselves.
Right. It's like, instead of sitting into the mirror being like, oh, my grays. What if someone sat down and was like, oh, look how beautiful my grays are coming in and my hair's so thick and bold. Like,
yeah,
you just don't hear that.
Yeah.
But like,
that would be a great term.
That would be a great flip-flop.
Yeah.
And then I was also podcast listening, and I believe I am forever a fan of Oprah. I don't know. I just like, she is the voice of my like childhood. Like, that was the first person I heard honestly like talk openly and like interview people. So I just heard, and I always will. And she was doing one of her book club sessions or whatever, and there was a quote in it, and it said, "Enjoy yourself more. This is your only youth."
Yeah.
And it registered. Like, it registered a slow down. It registered this, like, we're all youthful in whatever phase of life we're in. But I think at least for me, I think when I was younger, there was this deep want of like being older. I want to be a part of the big girl, like, crew. Even when I was a tiny little one and my mom was like babysitting kids and stuff. And I remember like wanting to hang out with the fifth graders because they were the cool ones. And then you get older and you're like, I want to be this older, cool girl who can sit at a bar and drink a martini. And then all of a sudden and I don't know where it shifted. Like, I cannot tell you. But then there's a shift. There's this like, oh, I'm now old. What is that? What happened? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know. It's, because I'm, middle-aged now. So I'm trying to like just embrace and be thankful. It's going to sound corny, but for what God gave me, and yeah. And I kind of struggle with it, of course, like we all do. Some days are better than others, but it's true. Like, the clock is ticking. So, and I often find like, when I maybe take a selfie or take a picture, I see myself in a picture, I'm like, oh, I look so old. And then I'll see that picture, a year later, I'm like, damn, I looked good. So it's like, you got to remind yourself, like,
You look good.
You have, you know, like, yeah, like you were saying, like, don't be so critical and like show a little kindness and compassion to yourself.
Yeah.
Like with my job, of course, like skin. And of course, people are coming in because they want improvements.
That's, yeah.
Um, and especially with people who have like acne or struggling with issues, you know, they get mad at their skin. Like your skin is trying to tell you something. So let's try and listen to that message and like get to the root and turn it around that way instead of like not liking your skin or, you know, being resentful towards your skin. Your skin is talking to you.
Yeah.
And telling you something.
It's like, look at it more.
It's related.
Oh no, I think it's like reframe
Yeah.
that conversation of, instead of being like, oh, you annoying skin, you can be like, oh my God, thank you so much for telling me that I might be having hormone problems.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, we all know is like that.
My diet or less stress or sleep, try and,
Or maybe I should drink some water.
yes, or, you know, like, or take a rest.
Yeah.
Pull back a little bit. So,
Yeah. You know who told me I looked tired today? My Uber driver.
oh,
Goes like, you look so tired. I was like, it's my day off. Where he said my eyes, and I was like, I go, no, I'm actually feeling great. I was like, I'm changing it. I'm not gonna take it. I'm gonna.
so you didn't tip, right?
I mean, I tipped him emotionally, thank you, but I did not. I was like,
Unsolicited, like,
but you know what? I didn't accept it. I took it as a, oh my gosh, well, I feel great. So I don't know what maybe you should change how you approach your customer.
I would think so.
But yeah, no tip. But speaking of tips,
Yes.
we do have a fun beauty break popping in tonight. I'm really excited. We're about to go into our beauty breakdown sesh with a beautiful, beautiful guest today. So without further ado, beauty breakdown starts now.
Welcome to our beauty breakdown with the beautiful Liv Reis. She's an accomplished actress with experience on both the big screen and the off-Broadway stage. Liv brings a unique perspective on how beauty intersects with storytelling, self-expression, and the demands of the entertainment industry. From navigating the challenges of auditions to embodying characters whose ideas of beauty may differ vastly from her own, Liv has honed a deep understanding of how outer appearance and inner confidence influence her craft. We're excited to dive into her journey, explore the ever-evolving concept of beauty in her industry, and gain insight into how she balances authenticity with the expectations of her profession. Welcome.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. That was gorgeous.
Oh,
God.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Play off all those things. You have.
You're honing away.
You're honing away.
So, okay, this is just coming to my mind because I read this again. And so the off-Broadway stuff to me is incredible because I've seen off-Broadway, which I don't know, obviously, which theaters you've been in, but some of them can be so tiny and close up, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
With like the audience review. Honestly, it's like after either a couple performances or with any kind of like lighting design, not only can you not see them, but like then you notice them.
Yeah.
Or if it's like one person laughing, you're like, no, okay, I know exactly who that is if you know them, or that kind of thing. But honestly, the ones that I've worked on were either larger audiences farther away, or audiences are like in the playing space. So we're like working around them.
Right. Yeah.
One of the things I did, we were like literally passing out ballots to them.
Yeah.
This was during the 2016 election. So that's a little stressful. I'm doing Coriolanus. But yeah, no, I love working off Broadway. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So super intimate. Yeah.
That's really interesting though. Is that also something when you're even like on Broadway energy or on any stage specifically, can you actually see the audience? Usually no. What? Really? Yeah. The lights are bright enough that you really can't see past the like lip of the stage. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, right.
Wait, I guess that's like, okay, whoa. What about like if someone is like at like an auditorium energy, like huge stage? Is that like the same vibe, or maybe like a couple more rows? If the house lights are down,
Usually you can't see anyone. If house lights are up, you can like call people up for questions, but even then,
I didn't think about that. Does that help with stage fright? Do you get stage? Is that a thing?
I get like nervous before I go on, but that's more like adrenaline. But I don't really get stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I would never think to be like, oh, they can't see you. I always thought y'all could see.
I mean, like maybe if we looked for a while and let our eyes adjust, but I know you were not staring
Yeah,
to the audience.
you're
We're not
like,
usually.
yeah, you got something going on. Oh my gosh. Okay.
And do you have like a little ritual before you go out on stage or go to perform? Is there some like little thing you do or not necessarily?
I usually listen to kind of like pop-up music, and for me that's like rap. Like Kendrick Lamar or like grime, Dave, that kind of thing. But then something that's also really important for me is like tongue exercises, because I feel like that's my biggest way of not tripping over my words and allows me to enunciate and get everything out that I need to.
What's a tongue exercise?
Well, I'm sorry. They're like becoming big on Instagram and stuff. The mewing and like exercising your tongue as a way to like reduce double chin.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing is like just what I do as an actor. Like that kind of if you put your tongue out and like push down with your tongue and up with your thumb, I'm not gonna mix it. I'm not being my hand. That like
kind of you're citing your tongue.
Yeah, like a great like stretch and strengthen for the back of the tongue.
Right. Okay.
And so that's how to like to enunciate and like project your voice.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're doing facial fitness at the same time.
Yay.
Which I didn't even know I was doing.
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
Amazing. Well, okay, we're learning like fun little like moments. I didn't even see that like popping off. How cute. Before we dive into your like deep, dark eras of how beautiful you are, I do want to also say shout out to your mom.
Okay.
Because not just because she birthed you and like gave life to you, but shout out to your mom because she brought you into my orbit, into my world, into my chair. Like I did your hair when you were 17, 16. It's not 15. If not, so we weren't even legal. No, not that. It was literally.
But I had hair like down to my waist.
So lost.
So, yeah, you were like, Jesus.
I was like, are you getting a haircut? And I think you actually ended up getting a haircut, like in recent time after. Like, it was your first like short. Now she's like going shorter and shorter and shorter. The first time I did see you, it was really long. Wow, memory. But I just like, I think it's so fun how as you've progressed in your like career, your life, it's been really like cool to sit back and like watch it unfold. And it always makes me laugh because I think you're so much older than you are. And then I have to be like, dude, you were doing your hair when she was in high school. And then I'm like, you yourself were like fresh out of high school. So it was just like a fun little like moment of like, whoa, here we are like 10 years later, in a sense, honestly, maybe like 9.5, but doing something fun and talking about your career, like your career. It's so, I think it's, I don't know, there's like something circular that feels right.
It was pretty fun. Yeah. And of course, at the time, I thought you were like 30. Okay, high schoolers everyone's just huge.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I was actually probably like 20, maybe 19 when I first met you. I know. I was actually going, okay, full circle moment has been completed.
Thanks to my mom. Her beauty tip actually stays very true for me, which is just like put a little bit of color.
Would you call it like a momism? Like a mom, like a thing that sticks with you that your mom, like there's something there that's like, yeah, my mom used to say that. And it just like is like one of your mom's momisms. Do you have one?
Yeah. I'm thinking what my mom always, she was of that generation where she always dressed. Like no matter what she was doing, you never see my mom in sweatpants, right?
Yeah.
So, not that I try and like, do that all the time, but I try and like be presentable, like mostly. Like I try not to go out in sweatpants and sloppy. I try not to be sloppy. So yeah, my mom's tip was like, don't be sloppy.
Yeah. Yeah. I cannot think of one about my mom, but I think mine doesn't really go for like a cute one. I think hers was more like, what's the worst someone could say is no. So she was always like in the like, more of like internal, oh yeah, I know, like momism was like, that always sticks into my brain. Like, what's the worst they could say?
No. Well, my momism was like that was, she would say, if you don't have anything nice to say, which was,
Yeah. I'm going to rattle off. All right. Going with my first question. How does your inner confidence influence the way you embody a character? And does it change with each role?
Well, I often get sent in for like sweet leads, and that's a blessing because, not every headshot will get an okay for like the lead role, and I'll take for that, and then I won't get it, and then they'll send me back in for the meat girl, like her energy.
I really love it. I really like that.
But this has happened very recently.
It's like beautiful. Like that makes sense for you.
Thank you so
Like in a nice way.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because I have enough confidence to know, like, I'm not a mean girl, but I think sometimes presence translates to, like, not rudeness necessarily, but
But it
can.
right. But also you're in an industry where it's like someone's looking for something. Someone's looking for a character. Someone's looking for a person. Someone is looking to fill an idea of what they think a person is supposed to look like in this character.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like they see you and they're like, oh my God, beautiful, like stunning, sweet cheeks. And then they're like, wait, she would actually be perfect. I was like, these.
Or like someone who's like really not like damaged necessarily, but like, or I got someone that was secretly the killer on something, that kind of thing. I feel like I'm like, where I've like got a secret or I'm allowed to be bitchy. That I can have a lot of fun with because I think I'm not afraid to like go to that place. So it really does change role to role because I'm trying to like give examples. Like I was in a Zoom audition. Good joy.
Right.
Those are so weird. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually really happy that those are happening because it's better than self-taping most of the time.
Oh, yeah, right.
But at the same time, with self-tapes, you can do it as many times as you want. I was in a Zoom audition and I kept getting the note to have my voice go higher and higher and higher because of the character. And at a certain point, I was like, I can't talk any higher. And I was, in my head, I was just like, this is not a role for me.
Right.
And at a certain point, why are they, even trying to make me get to this place when it's so clearly not who I am? And then a week later, I got the same project, but the mean girl.
Who has a very low voice.
Well, right. And I think part of that is like, I do have quite a low voice.
Yeah.
And so they're like, no, you can't be the sweet lead, which is a, misconception in industry. Yeah, I love to be like, have challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Cute. Wow. Love it. All right. On to number 2. All right. Auditioning can feel incredibly vulnerable. How do you stay grounded and confident when so much emphasis can be placed on your appearance? Similar to what we were talking about, but like, how do you stay in that headspace and stay confident? Or do you?
I mean, I was about to say, like, it is really vulnerable.
Right.
And I've talked to actors who have been auditioning for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and it doesn't really get easier. I mean, it gets easier depending on like what mood you're in. Sometimes an audition is totally fine and I'm happy to go out and do something. And sometimes I'm just, not feeling myself.
Yeah.
And to put on a whole like face of makeup. And I do all my self-tapes with my boyfriend. We did like we were friends as well.
Mm.
And I get so frustrated because he just like tousles his hair and he's good to go.
Yeah. I'm sure you are too, though.
She is. She really is.
No, I mean, thank you. But like, this actually brings up, I was in a studio when in-person auditions were still a thing when I was 17.
Whoa.
And I was auditioning, I believe, for 14 or 15-year-olds. And I was told by the casting director, no, you need to put on more makeup. And she like gave me a bag of makeup and sent me into like the hall. And I had no idea what to do with the bag. I think I might have been wearing a little bit of eyeliner. I don't think anything else. But that, I think, opened something up for me where I was just understood. I don't know how well I'll be able to do in this industry if I'm not my own kind of makeup artist.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't learn how to do this.
Oh.
And that is why I started learning how to do my makeup.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily something I wanted.
Right. But that gives you like the confidence to like embody the character that you're about to like jump into.
Yeah.
To like to get it right. Like is that a part of the character role for you? I know I heard in recent news, I know Blake Lively is very loud and stuff right now with what's going on their debacle there. But I know I watched an interview of her and she had said the wardrobe is something she actually likes to be a part of when being her like does her own style and she's like, I like to get to know this person's style. Is that like a part of your journey into finding your character or like getting comfy in the character?
If it is a character that is either like really tough, I'll put on a leather jacket or something. But I think that's something I would love to do when I would be cast in a role. It was something that I got to do when I did Only Murders and we were trying on all these dresses. And they were, I think, like early 2000s, really, of the period dresses. And we put on one, I think it was a Dolce & Gabbana dress. They got it from the Real. They ended up cropping it. And we were both just, yes, this one. So I do love to be involved. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that that's my MO every time if they have a really clear idea. But generally for self-tapes at least, yeah, it's just a plain shirt is what I want to see.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a white shirt.
Yeah. All right.
Nothing too crazy.
Nothing too spicy.
Yeah.
I know that you just breezed by saying Only Murders, but can we actually say Only Murders in the Building? What an iconic, like, you were the first murder. I was the first dead. You were the first. She was the one. Only Murders in the Building #1. Dead woman dead girl. Dead girl. You were a girl. You're like a young girl. I also had an aha moment too. I remember I told my parents that you were going to be in it. I was like, Mom, I like they're going to be on TV. Literally, I remember us being like talking about it and you're like, I remember you telling me I'm going to try out for this role. I don't know how blonde I should be. And then you like calmly was like, Selena Gomez is going to, and I was like, what are you saying? Like you just like calmly drew over like a legit, like a status level, like celeb that you're about to like record stuff. I was like, stop. And I remember when you were dead on the concrete. Yes, spoiler. Yeah, it was like she fell from a building. Anyways, and I remember there's like a legitimate moment where your hair is like sprawled out, and I was like, "Those are my highlights, baby." I knew that. That's amazing. It was cute. It was cute. She was then
Throwing for both of you.
for both of us. Yes, more for her, but I was like, "Mommy, Dad, my highlights," and onto TV. Yeah, onto the sidewalk. Oh my gosh. Okay, it was a very nice experience, and Selena was so lovely. I don't think I expected her to like take an interest really, and after the first day, when I was done, she had the crew like clap for my first day because I had said it's my first on-screen thing. Stop. She was like, "It's Liv." I forgot. I was like cheering up and makeup was like, "Please don't."
She kind of vibes is nice. Like the screen act.
Yeah, really lovely. See her. Yeah, family oriented. Yeah, yeah. Wait, that's so cool. Like getting to like I don't even know, just brush a shoulder, let alone work with someone. Like that's so cool. And then for her to like take a step out and be like, let's like cheer on this girl, like a woman cheering on another woman, you know?
And of course, Steve Martin.
Oh, yeah, Steve Martin. My dad had me growing up like idolizing Steve Martin.
Oh my God, what a thrill that double thrill.
Ridiculous. Incredible. I like kind of swoon every time I think about them just because they're the comic actors.
Yeah.
Long short. Yeah. Amazing.
Like actual icons. They actually just did a little banter on the most recent awards. What was the most recent one that just came off? I can't remember.
Are you doing Saturday Night Live?
I am. Not even.
Yeah. Oh God, it's really amazing.
Yeah, they had like such a cute little thing, and I like thought of you in that. I was like, oh my God, she like worked with these guys, and they're like doing that. This is cool.
Like, she's cool. I have a date with my friends to watch that on Sunday.
Oh,
like special.
Yeah. So have you been like not watching social media to like not
really. I've seen a few clips.
Yeah.
Really.
It'll come together.
So well done.
Yeah. So fan. Okay. Have you ever played a role that challenged your own perception of beauty or confidence, and how did that experience impact you?
Yes, I have. I actually do want to say on the last question, there was something I forgot.
Oh,
It's just that I take a lot of comfort in the fact of when something comes out that I audition for and it's a brunette or it's someone who isn't white presenting or anything like that. I'm like, okay, so not necessarily, but they probably weren't going for my type. Right. Sometimes they call a lot of people in. And even if it's just like someone with darker hair than me, you can go, okay, so I never always gotten that. And if it's just mental, it just like gives you something to be like, offense the blow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then if it's a blonde, I lose all self-esteem. And I don't let me get away. So it's I just spent all day bed with my cat and the last beautiful I answer letter. Oh, we are call you crazy.
Devastated. No, we've never had that. We've actually been very lucky where there were only a couple times where you were like, I'm supposed to be this. Should I do this? And then every time I feel like you kind of come back and it's like, no, keep the same thing. Or like, let's add a couple low lights. It's never been like this drastic. Oh my God. Yeah. Crazy change.
No, but literally this fall after I came to you and you glazed it darker.
Yeah.
I got cast to understudy the person who was playing the daughter of Jane Krakowski and Neil Patrick Harris. It's like two blondes.
And why? And I was like, we just got you dark.
I know. And I hadn't done that in so many years.
No, it was the first time ever. And you're like, I might have to come back. And I was like, you darn, dude. I really like this darker version of you.
and how did you start acting? Was it like in high school and stuff? Or?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was a little before high school. My mom just sent me a clip of my first time on stage, which was 6th grade ish. And it was a school play. I was Sheriff of Nottingham. And that playing a boy.
Yeah.
So my first few roles were boys.
Yeah.
And that was really exciting and fun for me. I think I was able to harness a masculine energy that I didn't know how to take hold of as a young girl. And specifically, like I did Posthumous Leonatus in the play Cymbeline. And I got to do a fight scene and I got to like have a love interest who was a woman. And that was kind of confusing and exciting.
Yeah.
And discovered that the kind like this masculine kind of beauty was something that I connected to and resonated with. And I think up until that point, I only really considered myself beautiful when I considered myself feminine.
Yeah.
That's like,
Love that.
whoa, hot clip. Take that. Print. That's really interesting too, because I don't even think I've questioned that in my own life. Really, like even that like idea of like,
So I used to model years and decades ago, and I had super short hair. Like, you guys probably don't remember this, but Linda Evangelista, she
yes,
kind of so a bunch of us did that. So I would be kind of androgynous in a way, and it was cool. Like I never really kind of thought of it the way that you were saying it, but I didn't necessarily feel sexy, but like I felt cute,
Yeah. You're like, look at this neck all day.
So it was a different vibe.
There is something powerful about it. And when I did cut my hair in college or something, it was this like, oh, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And now, as Allison knows, I'm growing it back out, even though I cut it every day. And that is somewhat because I haven't had it long in a while. And it's also somewhat because I think I might have a better shot at some roles with it longer.
Yeah.
And if I decide that's not the case, I can just drop it again. Right. But I do think in general, my industry has kind of moved towards this very one-dimensional concept of feminism in a lot of ways. I don't mean like feminism. But just the feminine as we had quite, I don't want to say girly because that's not what I mean. That's stereotypically. Yeah. And there aren't that many androgynous roles that aren't non-binary, and there are even fewer of those roles.
And Tilda does all those. Tilda is Tilda, right? Tilda is Tilda.
Yeah.
That kind of just made me think of, Kate, what's her name? Titanic. Yes. And remember when she did that show about she was like a detective? I can't remember the name, right?
Yes.
Yes. And everyone was like, she's so not pretty. And it was this moment where I was like, whoa, interesting. We have a female who is more interested in her like detective work, maybe than like curling her hair in the morning or doing the feminine idea. And that was what most people talked about that show. Like that was like what the big thing was is like, look at her. She wasn't taking her hair for herself or something. And I was just like, interesting because there's so much more to that show than just that. But that was like what hit the headlines from my my social.
And crucially, like it's in line with the character.
Right.
That is the character's identity. It's clear. I'm not clearly, but it's not Kate Winslet's. We've seen her many times on many red carpets. It's not like she's a slob, and even if she put it online.
Yeah.
But more importantly, she does amazing work at that.
Insane.
Incredible.
Right.
But given her allowed to be like a couple of things on screen.
Yeah.
And
I think that's changing a little bit in America. I think it's more embraced in European countries, right? Like English television or Australian television. Like the actors look like people. And I find it's like more believable, you know, because you're not like, oh, look at how like perfect she looks. But then you're just like getting more into the character and just how, you know, interesting the character is as opposed to how they're looking. So
absolutely.
Do you think it's changing somewhat?
I was just taking this conversation with a couple people, and I was in London with my friends who one is an actress and one used to act. And they were just saying, we watch shows and you just see people who look like people you would see on the street.
Yeah.
And our media is
In Europe.
Yes, in Europe.
Yeah.
And our media isn't like that so much. So I think there definitely is or was a time where that was true. I feel like there's potentially a slight regression of that at the moment due to lots of cultural factors.
Right.
Everyone's just pushing back now, right?
Right. Or, you know, the things that can get greenlit are the things that large companies and like, well, everyone in the States will watch this, not just this group of people.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, I think it's when you were talking about like, oh, the characters being real or something like that, it kind of made me all of a sudden have this moment where I was like, we kind of live in this culture where it's like, I'll watch someone on TV and then like want to be them. And then I'm like, to be them, what do I need to buy? Like what clothing do I need to buy? What lipstick is that person wearing? Like, I mean, Euphoria, in a sense, was one of those for me where I was like, do I need jewels on my eyes now? Like, where do I go and buy face glitter? And like, not to say that that's like what I'm truly talking about. There's just like moment where it's like, I do think there is a maybe like undertone of when you get that movie star or you get that person, like maybe there's a connection to like selling the imagery as well as the like show, you know? I don't know.
I think that's 100% right. I mean, a very cynical take would be that a lot of the movies and shows that we get fed essentially aren't as much art as they are marketing.
Ooh,
Yeah.
polished.
Yeah.
Because like, if I'm honest, a lot of the things aren't shot like art. They're shot like commercials.
Right. So hot take. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel that. I do.
And it's script and hitting all the points and
Yeah.
but very scripted.
Yeah.
And, you know, very scripted is fine. But I feel like it turned me into the person where it's like I turned 23 and Sephora became like a candy store.
Right.
And I don't know if that would have been the case if I wasn't like on Instagram scrolling through the most beautiful women I've ever seen.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with beautiful women posting on Instagram, but yeah, it's all I see.
Yeah.
With filters.
With filters.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
This is not, like a little off topic, but I can't remember what I was listening to about younger women, how hard it is for you guys to accept aging, more so than even my generation, because as you're saying, look on Instagram, everyone is flawless. It's not reality, people, you know, but you know, kids that are growing up on their phones, that's their reality.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not like that. I tell my daughter that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, because I was there. We used to retouch all the pictures and airbrush and
Yeah. You're like, I had a pinball.
Yeah.
There was a pimple there. Have you ever working? Oh, I do receive a lot. Oh my gosh, your glasses.
I'm kidding.
No, but I don't know.
What it means, but I think it's going to be even, and I know it's difficult for women in general to age, but I think coming up, it's like, because it's going to look like nobody's aging.
Yeah.
Between the fillers and the plastic surgery and all these advancements.
Or are we going to notice? I mean, you tell us, right? Like, you're the skin, like, are we going to see a shift in like people almost aging too soon because we've like done too much?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like all these ridiculous, like even Sephora birthday parties for 12-year-old, 14-year-old kids. Like, stop. I'm so glad I missed that. Have you heard of this?
I don't know. A birthday party at Sephora what are you buying?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And with that being said, I think kids are being exposed to way too many anti-aging products.
Yeah.
Which is going to just mess up their skin to begin with.
Yeah. Thin it out too soon.
Yeah. And just give them all these unreasonable expectations that, this cream is going to make my nose thinner or make me whatever,
Yeah. It makes my heart hurt.
Because, like, actually in Los Angeles, they're trying to pass a bill that kids can't buy certain products at Sephora because, like, retinols and acids and do damage,
like permanent damage, especially when you're growing in those like initial years. Whoa, jeez.
I know.
But I do love me a Sephora. Sorry, I do.
No, sorry. And there's one around the corner, and I wish there wasn't, because every time I come and see you, I'm like, I'm just gonna pop in.
And then $200 later, you're like, I shouldn't have popped in.
Why do I have so much trash?
I don't know.
But see, I'm glad I wasn't around when these Sephora birthday parties were happening when my daughter was that age, because I would really struggle with letting her do that.
Yeah. Mine was a McDonald's birthday party.
Of course it was.
And the high meal, my favorite place.
I did laser pack. It was it's so fancy.
You're like, Avery.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I think there is a way to avoid all that stuff. But for me, it takes such discipline. But yes, as an actor who currently is auditioning but doesn't have a job, I have a good amount of free time.
Sure.
And if that time is spent scrolling, yes, I don't feel like it's being well handled at all.
Yeah. So it's detrimental, especially, right?
Yeah, it really is. So I'm finding different ways to bring other creative pieces into my life.
Yeah. And I think this younger generation too is getting getting a bad rap, because my daughter reads all the time. I keep hearing like nobody's reading, like none of these young people are reading. My daughter always has, I think they're all young, that's novel. She's like, Mom, I can't be on social media.
I sound like an actor. I literally sound like an owl. Sorry. My question is, who is saying who are these young people aren't reading? Like, is it somebody in their like 60s or 80s? Because then they're talking about millennials. Is it like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, the idea of young in my mind now, I'm thinking of like people younger than me. But there was a time not long ago, like 5 or 6 years, where I was the young one. I was in my early 20s, and now I'm like looking at those in their early 20s or earlier or whatever, being like they're the young ones. So I do think that like it's actually true what you're saying. Like, your daughter is of the Gen Z. Are you No,
I'm Gen Z.
You're like Gen Z OG. Like, you just like you're cooler than like
well, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It's better than being a really young millennial.
Right, totally. I agree. There's also these like new names for like age groups that no, I don't even know who that is truly. But there is this moment where it's like, I do actually, and I've been hearing this, I do think like the younger generations are actually getting into reading, doing puzzles, hanging out with their friends, not drinking, hanging and conversing, but also like isolation conversing as well. So it's like they hang out on their phones, and then they do hang out in person, but there's like, I don't know, they're like, just it's odd to me, because my generation was like, let's get wasted and talk.
Yeah.
And their generation's like, let's do a puzzle and talk. And it's happening. Like, I do think you're right.
But there's less of a framework to hang out without reasons. That reason maybe used to be drinking, and now we're like, maybe let's
have a book club. Yeah.
Let's play a board game.
See my boyfriend how to knit.
It's not a knitting club. Romantic. I'll join.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll do it. I'm here. I love being crafty.
So I have all kinds of hope with you young people.
Oh man,
It's me. I'm the girl of the romance.
dude, love that.
Yeah. I can eat it. I'm up until 3 a.m. I have to know what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you just like your eyes are falling and you just keep going and going and going.
And I flash back when I was doing that with Harry Potter when I was
Yeah. Oh, copy.
Yeah.
All right. Question. Performing off Broadway requires such presence. How do you cultivate confidence to show up fully night after night after night? Or day if you're doing a day.
So that's true. That nice.
Yeah.
I think that's what the training is for in a big way. Because finding where you want to be as the character is one thing. I'm always coming in with myself, putting myself in imagined circumstances. That's another reason when they cast someone who either doesn't sound like me or act like me, I'm not upset about it, because all I can really bring is my authentic self. And I think my training allowed me to more sustainable actor.
Interesting.
Because especially if you're going out night after night and you are screaming or you're crying or you're just going through something really emotional taxing, your body doesn't know the difference between that and it being real.
Whoa.
Yeah, like physiologically, it can be very confusing. And you can carry that trauma or sadness or devastation, whatever it is, home with you.
Yeah.
Unless you're kind of taking care of yourself. This is something I actually saw Tony Collette talking about recently. She said Hereditary was actually very healthy for her because that's like when she adopted the kind of wiping the slate clean after basically every day.
Whoa.
And she didn't get into how she does that, but I am very curious because your body takes that tension and pain
Totally.
onto it.
Yeah.
But then you can't get catharsis because the inception of that was never real. It was your character's
Right.
pain. And there are a lot of different ways of managing that as an actor. And I think one of the best for me is to have the most fun, because especially when it's screaming or crying, I'm having a lot of fun.
Okay. So you're like, you're acting out what you know to look like pain and suffering, but inside you're like, yeah, that is so much fun. And so your body's not actively taking that as trauma.
Exactly. It's like I'm on a roller coaster or something.
Oh,
And some actor, I've always wanted to say this, and some actor might have a different process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I was listening to Amy Lou Wood, who's on White Lotus right now, used to be on Sex Education, say, you know, if you see me crying in something, I am crying. I am sobbing.
oh,
And
deeply inherent from something.
or, you know, the practice that I really like, it's actually just over there at the Atlantic. They do a lot of practical aesthetics, which is essentially bringing yourself to something and creating imagined scenarios to put yourself in that will activate you. Because what a lot of people do, not a lot of people, but what kind of Stanislavski teaches is more substitution. Pretend this person is your mother or your ex or someone that has hurt you and just do the scene like that. But that dries up pretty quickly, but it's also not healthy.
And who's to say you haven't processed that and you actually can't feel that feeling anymore?
Exactly.
Right? Like, yeah, like if you, like, yeah.
Exactly. And so what I like about that is you have someone who you have unfinished business with, but then you're imagining a scenario where you're having to like ask that person for something, and that will never run out because you're imagining it with this person. So it can never be resolved because it's not the actual issue between the two of you.
Interesting.
That's just my like what I like working with. And I've been cherry picking techniques from like college, and
But it's that Jay's life in general.
literally. I'm sure you've done that.
Yeah, it is. At hair. Yeah. Even just performing behind the chair. There is a moment where like I've had days where I've had to connect into like if I didn't have confidence, I'll be like, oh, I used to watch this person talk, and like the way they like flipped the hair or said the thing, I was like, that looks confident. So I'm just going to take on that and hope that it works. And then I feel confident doing so. Yeah,
Absolutely.
especially in the beginning of my career.
And I've stolen things from so many actors. I mean, I think one of the best things for actors to do is get comfortable and knowledgeable about the other best actors of like not only their generation, but past generations. And that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. Like make a concerted effort to watch all of Meryl Streep's filmography. I'm watching a lot of Denzel movies at the moment as well, which has been very fun because he has Riz. He has Riz like no other.
Yeah.
And it's just like undeniable. It's incredible to watch. And then Meryl has something totally different going on, which why couldn't they just keep me on Only Murders long enough to work with her?
Oh my gosh, Ralph.
I have this like sweet spot hope that somehow there's like a need for you again. Like there's like maybe Selena needs to talk again to you or something. But like sheer, not even your ghost, but just like to you. Like can we go back in time? Like there was something they forgot, or like there was
You're twin. You're the twin.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I'm like a long lost twin.
Yeah, I'm going crazy over there. So make
I would die. Literally die. I would be so stoked for you.
No, I think if I was ever to be in the same room with her, I would like burst into tears and tell her. That's flat on there, yeah. And then he threw the felt, listen, I haven't seen everything. He started explaining to her. She said, you have to justify it. I am a huge fan. I'm only at this point. Yeah. Sophie's Choice, and then I'm going to say,
yeah. Oh my God. Iconic. Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa. All right. Ooh, here's another one. Question for you. Do you feel there's a connection between feeling beautiful and feeling confident? And how has that evolved for you throughout your career?
I think it's really hard to have one without the other. I think confidence is something that is so, in some ways, delicate and in some ways resilient. On a certain day, I can have my confidence broken by any minor inconvenience. And other days I can feel really tough. And in this industry, you know, if I'm on one of my tough, like feeling fine days, and then I get a call from my representation about something that maybe I was close to and didn't get, it's not nice. Yes. But at the same time, after a good amount of time passes, it doesn't feel like rejection.
Right.
Because I feel like that's what I always heard. And I had actors tell me when I was in high school, they were like, if you can do anything else, do that. This job is hard. And I was like, yeah, but it won't be for me.
Right. Because you're like, yeah,
I'll rise above.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But then you're actually like sitting on the train waiting to go somewhere, and you get a call and you're like, my day is ruined now.
A little bit, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, but I think if you're going into it aware of that, there's a lot of rejection,
Yeah.
then just that awareness can help you through it too, right? Because it's not like you expect to get every job, right? As an actor.
Yeah, not at all. And I think that's why I have a certain amount, or not why I have confidence, but I have confidence in my own work, in the fact that I've just been doing it for a while. And if I am given a chance, I will prepare myself and I will show up and I will do a good job, which means that much worse than rejection is like if I have an audition where I like feel like I lived up to my own standards. And that is much worse for confidence than a casting director saying no, because there can be so many reasons for that.
Yeah.
The what? Yeah. And so it really is defined by just how I feel like I'm doing. And then the real journey is to be kind to myself and not expect the gold standard 100% of the time.
Would you say like it's
Yeah, sure.
to be continued? Do you feel like there is that moment of where like you can, in a sense, like go in thinking like, okay, I won't get it? Does that make you feel more confident so you don't overthink it or something? Like, is there like a trick that you can like find to kind of like get in that headspace where you're like, this is just one of the things that I do and we're just gonna have fun with it? Like, cause like I could only assume like just sitting in front of somebody trying to like be somebody else just sounds so intimidating. Like just out.
That's where the training comes in.
Let's check. Yeah.
That's true.
It's where the training comes in. The training is often, I mean, I feel really lucky because I've had the opportunity to train in like London when I was in high school. And that was really incredible because I feel like training abroad is less about how to market yourself and how to, look the part, and very focused on how do I get my body, how do I get my voice to the place where I'm able to tell this story to the best of my ability, and what does this story deserve from me? And I really enjoyed that. And then coming back here, I still have a lot of fun. I don't think I don't like to think that I'm not going to get something. That being said, I sometimes get an audition. I'm not getting this.
Right. Do you think you then have more fun with it? Or no, same.
I might have more fun with it. I think the most fun I have is what I tend to do at I've gotten a usable take. I have the 3 takes before that didn't go that well.
Right.
And then we always do something we call the like just for fun take. Often before the just for fun take, my scene partner will pick me up and put me over his shoulder in like a fireman carry and kind of spin around a little. It's like it gets the blood pumping a little, gets excitement going again, because after you've done a couple takes of a thing, like, and you're standing in like your room.
It's like, how do we get the energy flowing?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's kind of cute. I love that he does that for you. That's
He's sitting here around you. I get out.
Eric, I do for him. Gotta go all star.
Yeah, you're like, I can't, but I would.
To just break up the mood,
Like, it's like that whole thing where it's like, shake it out, everybody. Like, yeah,
really. The only Murders audition, that's kind of what I was doing. That's what I tried to take to heart. It's like, oh, the thing I got was the thing I was having a lot of love. I like started the scene off camera, and I think I kind of flipped up into it. It was like, look what I found. Love. It was silly. I think people do want to see people being casting a sense of joy and play.
Yeah.
And that can be hard to bring when it's your like 4th self-tape of the month or something, and you're tired, and your skin's dry, and you don't want to be wearing makeup.
Right.
All of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of makeup and all of that and beautiness, the big question that we ask all of our beauty breakers. It's a simple question. What does beauty mean to you? It's a broad question.
It is. But that's why we that's why we always finish with it.
And I guess it doesn't mean to be like aesthetic beauty, just beauty.
Yeah.
We're kind of,
I think, and I feel very lucky to say this, and it's almost like you were saying earlier, we don't want to pat ourselves on the back too much. We're brought up to be kind of modest, which as women is just almost another like thing to confine us. But I think that when I feel most beautiful is when I feel most like myself. And feeling most like myself is something that is an ongoing thing that has taken a really long time, but not this past year's one before that. I felt gorgeous, and it was awesome. And I was dressed like a boy. And that's not to say I want to do that every day, but I was wearing these low-rise shorts and like cropped button up, and I was like, I'm so glad I'm not wearing a dress.
Right.
In high heels.
Yes. And it feels
comfy.
Yeah.
Like, at least all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so sometimes I really want to go stomping down the street in my big boots and my heavy coat, and that feels like me. And then the next day I'm like, I want to wear a long skirt and my little corset top.
Yeah.
And so it changes the other day what beauty is for me. But I think the thing at the moment for me is taking that time every day to say to myself, what is going to make me feel beautiful today? It doesn't have to be what made me feel beautiful yesterday.
Beautiful.
Well, I love that. Thank you so much for joining us. And wait, what's coming down the pike for you? Oh, yeah. I mean, Yep. Yeah. I feel like get a call tomorrow night. I feel like she told me once, she was like, oh, White Lotus is coming up. I think I might try out for this one thing. And I'm telling you, when she told me that, I was like, please get the job. Please get the job. Please get it.
And guess what? They cast her now. The casket brunette.
See, it was never meant to. Honestly, now I'm like, were you supposed to be the sister? Did you try out for the sister?
Maybe.
Maybe. Because I watched the first episode, I was like, which one was she supposed to? I'm like, I have to start watching it, actually. It's good. It's good. I'm yes. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching another episode of Beauty Break.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Liv, for being our guest. Feel free to like, subscribe, and see us next time. Have a good one.
This is a Based Here production.